Hi, welcome to Frenchic's Top Tip Videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to paint your own UPVc and PVC door. The products I'm going to be using is Frenchic's Alfresco weatherproof chalk paint. I'm also going to be preparing the door first, so I'm going to clean it down with Frenchic's concentrated sugar soap. Once it's clean and dry, I'm going to give it a light sanding down with a very fine sandpaper, and then I'm going to show you two methods of applying the paint. One is with a small handheld paint sprayer, and the other one is with Frenchic's own paintbrush. I'm going to dilute the sugar soap with some warm water, give it a little bit of a stirring up, and then start to clean the door down. Now it's really important to clean the surfaces down with sugar soap to remove any grease or grime that could have laid on top of the surface, because if you don't clear that off, when you actually paint the surface, you're actually painting on top of the actual grime. So the cleaner the door is, the better the paint's going to key to the surface. I'm going to rinse it off with some clean cold water and get it nice and dry, ready to sand down. So now the door is dry, I'm going to give it a very light sand down with a fine sandpaper. Now, of course, I'm only giving this a very fine scoring for the new paint to actually key to it. But if you've got a real old surface or doing a lot of things where it may have old oil-based paints on there, always use a dust mask when you're doing any sanding off. I'm just going to wipe the dust off with a clean, lint-free cloth. So now the door is clean, dry and dust-free and ready to start masking up the glass and also the handles. Now the masking tape I'm going to be using is already connected to the polythene, so this makes it a lot quicker to apply. Starting off at the top, placing the edge of the masking tape right on the top edge of the glass. And then I'm going to trim that off. Open the polythene out and that'll come down. It's got a static effect, it'll grip to the actual glass. I've cut it shorter a little bit of the edges so I can put more masking tape then all the way around there and hold it down into position. So of course you could actually disconnect the handle and take it off altogether if you preferred. So the first application of paint, I'm going to apply it by using a small handheld paint sprayer. Now if you choose to paint your door using a handheld paint sprayer, always make sure the nozzle is about 4 inches or 100 millimeters away from the surface. Continuously move that up and down at the same speed, or you can adjust the nozzle and spray from left to right. Now the paint I'm using is Frenchic's Alfresco, perfect for outdoors and really hard wearing. The colour is duckling and it's a kind of duckling bluey grey. Now I left the first coat to dry for about 2 hours and then applied my second coat. Now it's almost touch dry. My advice would be as gentle as possible for at least the first 48 hours because all paints tend to be a little bit soft until they're fully cured. But after about 2 weeks, when this is fully cured, it'll be nice and strong and look fantastic. Once you've finished spraying, remove the masking tape before the paint dries. All Frenchic ranges of paints, waxes and finishing coat are EN 713 certified, which means they are deemed safe enough to paint even children's toys. So now I'm going to paint the opposite side with a paintbrush. The beauty about the Alfresco range, it contains no toxins, needs no priming, is self-leveling, so little to no brush marks, and has a robust finish with no need for sealant. Do check the weather forecast before you start painting outside. We wouldn't recommend to paint if there's any rain forecasted or moisture in the air. Only paint when temperatures are between 10 and 32 degrees Celsius. Now if you're unsure about the weather or the temperature, it's always best to do a test area first. Now applying paint with your paintbrush initially is going to look a little bit different than when it's actually sprayed. You're going to see a little bit of the brush marks coming through because we've got contact with the surface. But don't worry, because Frenchic's chalk paint is self-leveling. It will flatten out, and on your first coat you may still see some of the original colour of the door, but by the time you apply your second coat onto that and it's fully cured, it will look fantastic. And a general rule of thumb whenever you're painting surfaces, if it was a wooden door for instance, I'd tend to go with the grain. If one panel is going this way and then the grain's going up and down there, a little bit different when you're doing it with a UPVc door because it's all flat. But you just got to be careful about when you've got protruding areas like these moulded areas coming out, that cut your brush into the corner and drag it down when the section comes down that way, and same again along the top, so you get a flatter surface. And you don't want any build up of paint there because it could tend to run if you drag your brush across it the wrong way. So just take your time, don't worry about any of these little white lines coming through. As we said, they will dry out flat, and once you get your second coat on them you won't see any of it. Another little tip I find when using a brush, after about 5 minutes, of course, it's starting to react, it's starting to dry out there. I just very gently, with no more paint on the brush, just feather it out across it, just a fraction, double checking all of the joints here that you've got no drips. I've left my first coat to dry for about 2 hours. Now already applying the second coat right around the four sides here. You can see the difference in the first coat. None of the existing colour of the door is actually bleeding through. Now that's my second coat applied, and I'm sure you will agree it looks beautiful. The Alfresco range is UV resistant and weatherproof. Another reason why I love Frenchic paint, it's easy for beginners and the choice of professionals. Now if you want some more inspiration on what you can paint, why don't you follow the Frenchic Fan Forum Facebook page? Or if you're looking for a stockist in your area, check out the website frenchicpaint.co.uk.